We're live. Good night, Belizeans at home and abroad. This is the Belizeans Affairs Show number 152 for Friday, 7th of June, 2024. My name is Leonard Brackett, and I'm the host of the program and will be your chairman for tonight's program. And as usual, on Fridays, we do some political or law and other matters, as well as constitutional matters. Tonight, we don't have our other panelists available. I sent out the information with an error, and as a result, apparently they are not able to log in. So I'll do the best I can for tonight in terms of doing the reading and the prayer. I'll just bow my head and say a short prayer, if you would indulge me. Divine loving Father, thou who art the creator of heaven and earth and all that in them are, into thine hands we commend ourselves, asking that thou would continue to have mercy upon us, that thou would continue to guide us and bless us and give us strength, courage, endurance, perseverance, wisdom, knowledge, and understanding, and give us the patience to be able to endure the trials and travails of this undertaking. Please continue to bless our family members, each and every one of them, as if they were all mentioned by name or numbers. Please bless our country of Belize, its people and its leadership. Please bless this country of the United States, its people and leadership. Continue to have mercy upon us all, loving Father, especially those people who are in harm's way and are being hurt, sometimes for no justifiable reason. We pray that thou mayest give them relief from the hardship that they are enduring themselves. Please continue to guide and protect us, I pray, for Christ's sake. Amen. And our reading for tonight will be coming from Proverbs. Just a second here, please. There we go. Proverbs chapter 15, verses 1 reads as follows. A soft answer turneth away wrath, but a grievous word stir up anger. Verse 2, the tongue of the wise useth knowledge, all right, but the mouth of fools poureth out foolishness. Verse 3, the eyes of the Lord are in every place, beholding the evil and the good. And verse 4, a wholesome tongue is a tree of life, but perverseness therein is a breach in the spirit. And that will be the reading for tonight's program. We will start tonight's program by discussing a matter that is of grave concern in the country, even while some people may not be aware as to the gravity or how important it is for that matter to be dealt with expeditiously and constitutionally. And I'm referring to the issue, no other issue other than that of having a cabinet secretary acting in the same capacity as the Governor General, when in fact the Governor General is the person who was sent to the governance powers of the country, who gives the permission to the Prime Minister after the Prime Minister and his colleagues are elected by the majority in the country. It is the Governor General. And in the absence of the Governor General, Deputy Governor General, that assent to issues that become laws in the country. And therefore, you cannot have the Deputy Governor General sitting in cabinet, acting as the Governor General at the behest or on behalf of or under the direction of the Prime Minister and the other ministers of cabinet. I don't know how many people are aware that that's a travesty and should not be happening in our country, but that's how these guys roll. On March 26th, I had the occasion to write a short statement in regards to this same matter. As I said, it's a constitutional travesty, and since tonight is Friday and we deal with constitutional matters as well, I'm taking this particular topic to start the program out. I went on to say on March 26th of this year, the following comment was made by Leonard Brackett as part of a Facebook post thread. And I said, Mr. Stuart Leslie, open bracket, Cabinet Secretary to Government of Belize and Deputy Governor General of Belize, close bracket, operates at the pleasure of the Prime Minister of Belize, who appointed him to serve as cabinet, to serve at cabinet's interests. So then the travesty is that the Governor General and the Deputy Governor General are appointed, or they served actually the head of state, which is not the Prime Minister. And for whatever the reason, the Deputy Governor General then sitting in cabinet actually serves the Prime Minister and the cabinet members. And that one person should not be occupying those two strategic and incompatible positions. I went on to write a little bit more formal essay dealing with the same point on March 27th, in which I said the following commentary was made by Leonard Brackett in regards to giving the title of the essay, Belize Deputy Governor General, a constitutional travesty and an untenable anomaly and a conflict of interest. Mr. Stuart Leslie, as Cabinet Secretary to the Government of Belize and Deputy Governor General of Belize, operates at the pleasure of the Prime Minister of Belize, who nominated him to serve Cabinet's interests in both positions, which should not have been. The Governor General of Belize, as a Belizean, is appointed and assented to by and serves at the pleasure and interest of the head of state, which is not the Prime Minister. That person is actually His Royal Highness King Charles of Great Britain and the UK and Commonwealth under our present independence status under the Commonwealth and under the present constitution that we have. I went on to say, the Governor General of Belize, when there is an occasion, is nominated by the Prime Minister of Belize, who is subordinate to the Governor General, from whom the Prime Minister gets ascension or transfer of Belize executive governance powers after a general election, but who does not serve at the pleasure of the PM. In other words, let's put it in a little simpler way, right? Imagine that Mr. Lam would be serving as Governor General as well as Secretary of Cabinet. In other words, the Prime Minister could hire whoever he wants to serve him in Cabinet as the Cabinet Secretary. So let's imagine that Mr. Lam, whom the Prime Minister recommended to the head of state for appointment as the Governor General, is now leaving, or not necessarily leaving, but is now also being appointed by the Prime Minister as the Secretary of Cabinet to serve the interests of Cabinet. I think that should be able to help some people get an idea what is it I'm trying to talk about, what is it that is so controversial in this regard. Because I don't think there is any Belizean who would think that the Governor General should be operating in Cabinet under the guise and in the interest of Cabinet or the Prime Minister. Now, do I think that it makes sense for the Secretary of Cabinet to go and replace the Governor General and act as the Governor General in the interest and on behalf of the head of state? Because that is not compatible according to our present constitution. Those are two different functions. The Governor General is the point of ascension of power, and the Deputy Governor General, in the absence of the Governor General, occupies that position and therefore signs off on things that are supposed to become law if the proper procedures were followed. And we have had instances in the past for which I have complained as well, where the Governor General should be appraised of what is it that Cabinet wants to assent to, or wants the Governor General to assent to, and that Cabinet must justify to the Governor General that ascension of powers. I don't see the Prime Minister telling Mr. Stuart Leslie, as Secretary of Cabinet, or Mr. Stuart Leslie telling the Prime Minister, as the Prime Minister, and he, Mr. Leslie, as the Secretary of Cabinet, that the Prime Minister cannot have Mr. Stuart Leslie do what he wants. Because under normal circumstances, if he were not also Deputy Governor General, the Prime Minister could dispatch him with haste. I don't know if I'm making the matter any clearer with those type of examples, you know. I hope I will. I am. Because it's a matter that's constitutionally a breach, and a bastardization of our constitutional objective. That is to say, we're putting the horse behind the cart and trying to have the horse push the cart instead of pulling the cart. I'll read on. The Governor General of Belize, when there is an occasion, is nominated by the Prime Minister, as I indicated earlier, of Belize, who the Prime Minister is subordinate to the Governor General, from whom the Prime Minister gets ascension or transfer of power of Belize executive governance powers after a general election, but who does not serve at the pleasure of the PM. In other words, the Governor General does not serve at the pleasure of the PM, but serves at the pleasure of the head of state. So unless the PM could find a way to become the head of state it is unconstitutional and a dereliction of duty for the PM to be playing his cards on both sides of the table. I hope that analogy is well founded and well taken as well. The Deputy Governor General of Belize, as a Belizean, is appointed and assented to by the Governor General of Belize to act as a delegated Deputy Governor General of Belize in the Governor General's absence. And it is the Governor General who authorizes in a written form, they call it a writ, that's the technical term for it. When the Governor General is supposed to be absent, the Deputy Governor General cannot just arbitrarily and capriciously assume those powers just because the Governor General is absent, unless the Governor General gives the Deputy Governor General a writ to act in the capacities of the Governor General. In other words, there has to be a transfer of powers. And those transfer of powers are temporary transfer of powers. It tells the Deputy Governor General what are the limitations and within what level and purview he can act representing the head of state. He cannot just willy-nilly go ahead and, okay, well, I have been the Deputy Governor General. I'm now appointed as the Governor General to replace the absent Governor General for whatever reason the Governor General will be absent. And therefore, I'm just going to go ahead and capriciously sign whatever I want on behalf of the Prime Minister because he's my buddy. And since I hold the keys to those powers, I'm going to sign arbitrarily and capriciously anything that the Prime Minister wants me to sign. And who's to stop me? Because now I'm actually not acting as deputy, I'm actually acting as the Governor General. And with the whole powers of the Governor General, which is not normally true, the deputy is given a writ which limits the context within which he will be able to exercise those powers of Governor General when he is allowed to act as a Governor General in the absence of the Governor General. So those are all technical things that, for all intents and purposes, we government, they pretend like they don't know or they don't understand, or maybe for all you know, they just don't care. They don't have no respect for the Constitution itself. They don't got no respect for the head of state. They don't got no respect for the people in the state. They don't got no respect for their own self, as a matter of fact. Otherwise, they would not be behaving in these kind of controversial ways. They would allow themselves to be respected and not to be held in repute or be impugned for their dastardly conduct. When they're done, they want to turn around and say, well, you're maligning them for telling them where they gone wrong or where they do wrong. You're liable then. Because you say thing where, according to their understanding, no go so. If they will only open up the Constitution and read the thing for themselves, or get their lawyers to get a proper legal advice as compared to improper legal advice, which is what they always like to go and, play around with. Because the improper advice allows for them to be able to play shell game. Whereas the proper advice keeps them in check in terms of pointing out to them their failures or their wrongdoings, or what is it that they're not supposed to do. As in the case of Mr. Jerusalem and Mr. Mendes. Hope most people will remember those two names and what those two names relate to in terms of the legal issues that went to Cabinet, for Cabinet to pass rules and regulations so that the House could vote and carry out that dastardly contract that Portico was being offered, and pretending that it was all legal and legitimate. I'll leave the Portico thing for right now because we have other times and we'll come back to that. I want to finish up with this particular section here. I went on to say, Mr. Yeah, we have one of our guests on the show right now. In the background, I'll just bring him on. I'll stop what I'm doing for a second and just to introduce the good gentleman, so that because as I said, I had sent him the information with a part of the code not being correctly stipulated, and therefore I had to reissue it. And I presume that not only himself but others may have had difficulty coming in tonight, which is why I was starting off the program on my own. And I'd like to quickly uh, cut this part of the program off. Just Mr. De La Fuente, would you just be patient with me, sir, just so I can just wrap this up and move it aside? Then we can come back to what tonight's program was supposed to have been all about. Can I beg your indulgence in that, sir? Uh, Hello? I'm not sure if you're hearing me, Mr. De La Fuente? Hello? Yeah,
Not hearing you.
you're not hearing me?
I hear you very low.
Okay, let me see if maybe my mic is. Let me check my mic, okay, please? I'll make sure I'm not too. I'll up my mic a little bit, but I hope I don't make it too low that it will hurt nobody's ears. Okay, so I went up to 50. Uh, is that a little bit better, sir? Can you hear me a little better now?
I hear you very, very low, my friend.
Okay. Could you pull your phone or your device a little closer to yourself? I'll raise it a little bit more, but I'm kind of cagey about making it too loud because I don't want to cause no ear problems, you know, because uh, I'm up to 60 odd percent now. Um, can you hear me a little better now? Oh man.
I am hearing you, but
Oh man.
really, really low.
I could hear you like a thunder just now.
Oh, I'm
when you
sorry.
when you spoke. No, because I raised mine substantively, you know. Um, I don't know how I'm gonna manage that.
By all means,
Anyhow, in the interest of the program, quickly, I just need to dispense with this stuff that I had in front of me that I was carrying on with just now, and I'll just read a short part of it to close that part out and be gone. The Deputy Governor General of Belize is appointed and assented to by the Governor General of Belize to act as delegated Deputy Governor General of Belize in the Governor General's absence and serves at the pleasure and interest of the Governor General and the Belize Head of State, who is His Royal Highness King Charles of Great Britain and the UK and Commonwealth, of which we are a member as an independent state of Belize. I'll leave that for right now, and I'll transition into the other part of the program. We could come back to that on another occasion, and just want to not um, waste the presence of our panelists who has graced us with the intent of talking about another subject that is urgent and pressing as well. And that subject is the Belize Peace Movement effort to try and get our government to comply with our constitution and the requirements under the Representation of the People's Act and Section 90 of our constitution. Uh, the good gentleman's name is Mr. Giovanni. Am I right, Mr. Giovanni
I,
De
I,
La Fuente?
I, I faintly heard you reading a letter that was sent by Belize Peace Movement
Uh,
to the Governor General. Am I right?
no, sir. I was reading something else about the um, an article that I had written before about the acting Governor General Mr. Stuart Leslie working on exercising the functions of the Governor General as Deputy Governor General in the absence of the Governor General. But that's a constitutional and technical matter which is a little different than what we want to focus on. And we want to focus on your effort and the rest of the group's effort in terms of how we're going to get to where we need to be about the redivisioning and the reapportionment of the electorate or the voters. So I'd like to defer to you. And
Would you allow me just a few minutes to
yes, sir. Please, please.
outline? Okay, so thanks for having me. And you know, this case, this redistricting case, has started since the year 2019. During the COVID year of 2019. Prior to that, I wasn't aware of the great discrepancy in the different electoral divisions in Belize. Of course, as you know, we have 31 electoral divisions,
Yes, sir.
and the Constitution, Section 90, declares that each electoral division should be as near as possible equal in size of voters.
Yes, sir.
And it goes on further and it gives the mandate to the Election and Boundary Commission to, from time to time, lay before the National Assembly proposals when these electoral divisions have become, of different sizes. And so the last time we had a proposal laid before the National Assembly in the country of Belize was over 20 years ago under the Right Honorable Manuel Esquivel. And so in 2019, a group of civilians in Belize took up the case of taking the Election and Boundaries Commission and the Attorney General of Belize to the Supreme Court because we noticed, for example, that in the Belize district, Mesopotamia division has maybe 2,300 voters as of April of this year, while Stan Creek West has over 10,000 voters. And so this is a grave injustice
Yes, sir.
to the voters in Belize. Take, for example, in Belize, every month there is a stipend that is given to the area representatives, and this stipend is called a constituency development.
Mm-hmm.
So if there are 2,200 voters in Mesopotamia, and remember that each area representative in Belize, regardless of this amount of voters in that constituency, each get
Gets the same.
identical financial assistance for constituency development. So take, for example, let's compare Mesopotamia and Stan Creek West.
Mm-hmm.
Mesopotamia, let's say they get $37,000 for 2,200 voters.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, that might be $15 per voter. I don't have a calculator, but whatever it is, it's in the vicinity of $15 per voter.
It's a fair
That
example.
is what that is what a Mesopotamia voter gets monthly constituency development.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you go to Stan Creek West that has 10,000 voters, Stan Creek West 10,000 times 15, Stan Creek West area representative, instead of getting $37,000, 10,000 times 15, Stan Creek West area representative should be getting $150,000 for constituency development per month.
Yes, sir.
No, this is a discrepancy of approximately $120,000 per month. Stan Creek West is being shortchanged $120,000 per month. That is
Multiply that
like
times 12.
1.4. That is like $1.4 million per year.
Mm-hmm.
And if you multiply this for 10 years, which is 2 terms,
Mm-hmm.
you're talking about Stanford West
Big money.
alone has been
Big money.
shot, changed $14 million. Now, this is a gross injustice to the Stanford West voters.
Mm-hmm.
Can you imagine over the past 10 years, Mesopotamia has been benefiting so greatly and Stanford West has been changed over the past 10 years by $14 million. With this $14 million just for constituency development, Stanford West could have had paved streets all around, ambulances, police cars, traffic lights,
Mm-hmm.
a well-equipped hospital. I mean, Belize has been independent for over about 40 years. If you do the maths for 40 years, you're not talking about 14 million, you're talking about
Four times.
$56 million.
Mm-hmm.
So as we can clearly see, the electoral divisions in Belize are greatly malapportioned. And so this group of Belizeans have been steadfast and haven't wavered. I'd like to take my hats off to my colleagues and our attorney who has been
So,
fighting
so do I,
the
sir.
past government, and now
This
we're in
president.
the same shoe with this government. So it's been 5 years, and we have managed to get the Supreme Court of Belize to force the Election and Boundary Commission to lay their proposals before the National Assembly. National Assembly of Belize received these proposals in July of last year and did nothing with it. They have had it for 10 months doing nothing with it. And now, last week or week before, they decided to include it in their agenda for the sitting of the House.
Mm-hmm.
So, what this group of Belizeans that has taken up this task, we had a hearing with the Supreme Court of Belize 2 weeks ago. We requested three things from the Supreme Court, and one was that the Supreme Court would please declare this present ROPA, which is the Representation of People's Act, or better known as the Voters List,
Mm-hmm.
to please declare this present voters list as unconstitutional
It
due
is
to the
unconstitutional.
glaring discrepancies in the quantity of voters in each area. So that is number one. And number two, we requested an injunction from preventing the Election and Boundaries Commission from calling another general election, another unconstitutional general election using this voters list. And thirdly, we requested the court to redirect the Election and Boundaries Commission to perform another redistricting proposal since it's been 10 months and the House hasn't seen fit to look at the issue. And we have had remarks from standing members of the National Assembly who on national television have declared that these present proposals wouldn't pass the smell test, and another representative declared that it wouldn't stand 10-minute scrutiny in a court. And so this is where we are today, 2024. This fight started in 2019, and the sole purpose of this is to have free and fair election and have each voter having the same weight. You know,
As
the
much as possible.
Mesopotamia voter is 5 times more powerful than the Stanton Creek West voter.
Mm-hmm.
And this is only one comparison. This comparison can go on and on in Orange Walk Central, Orange Walk North, Cayo. What happens, Brother Brackett, is that it seems like the Belize district, with approximately 30% of the voters, controls 42% of the House.
Mm-hmm.
They have, out of the Belize district, out of the 31 electoral divisions in Belize, the Belize district controls 13 electoral divisions.
Mm-hmm.
So if they get the help, the sympathy of 3 other electoral divisions in the country, then they have 16 and they are the government.
Mm-hmm.
So what happens, and this is not by mistake, this is by design,
Design.
Belize district has been designed to be the headquarters, the power base of the country of Belize.
Mm-hmm.
Whether San Ignacio will get a new bridge to cross the Macal River, or whether Crozal district will get the road paved from Crozal to Sartineja,
Mm-hmm.
is not dependent on the area representative of that particular area. It depends on when the Belize district politicians decide that time. And so in 2019, I hooked on to this case, and it's close to my heart, and hopefully, hopefully, it will soon come to an end. We have assurances from the Supreme Court of Belize that in a few weeks a ruling will be made. And it's a hard fight, you know, the governments of Belize have been fighting us all along the way. Remember what the Constitution of Belize says. The Constitution of Belize says that each electoral division should be as near as possible equal in the size of voters. Now, this does not give you a number like, say, 10% variance is allowed, or 20%, 30%. So, an expert witness was brought into the country, and this witness looked at the state of affairs in Belize, and he does business all over the world. His name is Trende. He looked at the state of affairs in Belize and declared that he has never seen such a sorry state of affairs. At the point of his study, the variance in the voters list, the same voters list that we're using right now, is approximately 60%. You see, if you take the total number of voters in Belize and divide it by 31 electoral divisions, the median line should be there about 6,000 voters per electoral division. So from this 6,000 line, the present voters list has a variance of approximately 60%. International norms, as declared by the expert witness, international norms is 10% variance. If you look at the trend that was set under the last redistricting effort in Belize, the variance was 20%. Now this new proposal that the Election and Boundary has laid before the National Assembly has approximately 32% variance. So it came down from 60% variance. Yes? It came down from 60% variance, but it is still grossly malapportioned. And so, Mr. Brackett, it's good that the Belizeans in the diaspora and all the people looking at your show could get a quick update of what's happening in Belize regarding the redistricting efforts. And hopefully it soon comes to an end. Thank you. Not hearing you. Not hearing you. None at all, no. Well, Mr. Brackett, with your, I am not hearing you, none at all. So, with your permission, I will excuse myself, and hopefully, another time we would be able to have a discussion, because at this point, I am not, I'm not participating.
Can you hear me any better now? Can you hear me any better now?
Thank, thank you for your time and for having me. And hopefully, another time we will be able to have a more healthy
Thank
discussion.
you very
Thank
much.
you very much.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
God bless. Okay. I'll just continue the program, in the meantime. And that was our special guest, one of our special guests for the night, Mr. De La Fuente. And he gave us a report on this um, elections and boundary effort. But the elections and boundary did not do a proper redivisioning and or reapportionment. They did not a reapportionment. So they claim that they have done something. But they did not do what they were supposed to do. Just doing something and leaving the whole thing unattended to or incomplete or not addressing the point is like being right at square one. You can't say they didn't do nothing. They did do something. But what we're saying, and they know, they didn't go and do what was asked of them to do, which is a proper redivisioning, a proper apportionment in the first place, and then, if need be, a redivisioning. The point is that the election and boundaries cannot make these things into law. All they can do is make recommendations. But to start with, they're not making the proper recommendation, which the court ordered them to do under the consent decree. They should have acted in good faith, because as far as I'm concerned, my interpretation of their behavior or actions is bad faith. They did something. So nobody can accuse them of not having done nothing. But they didn't do what they knew and were told And they agreed to, as a part of the consent decree, to measure up and meet the obligation of Section 90 of our Constitution. They're under that mandate. It's not being asked of them, they are being mandated. So they're in dereliction of their duty by falling short and not doing a good enough job. Then they took it to the House, and the House, they don't even debate the thing, and just put it away. And some of the members, when they asked them what happened, are they not going to complete the task to vote on the thing? They are agreeing with the people who brought the matter to court, with the Belize Peace Movement, that the matter wasn't done right. So why they don't discuss the matter in the House, which is what their responsibility is, and make a request that the government get the Elections and Boundaries Commission and the department to follow through and fulfill their obligations. They're collecting the salary. It's like they're committing a fraud on the people, collecting a salary for a job that is not well done or being done adequately when they know exactly how to do it. They are professionals at doing that. And as I said earlier, from way back in 1997, every time there's a general election from then till now, I have given them an additional 2 pages on top of the rest of the information that I provide to them dealing with the same matter. As a matter of fact, I went as far as doing the revisioning and reapportioning on one occasion to show them how simple and quick it is. But they want to justify their existence. All right, no problem. The matter should only take about a day or 2 at the most for that process to be completed, because they have all the materials on hand. They have all the voters list them. They have the tally of all the voters them throughout the whole country already on file. They have maps of the country. As a matter of fact, to the degree that these people know their job, they have maps that justify them having election booths in literally dozens and dozens of places throughout the country. They know where everybody lives. They know where everybody go vote. They know who vote and they know who no vote. These people are not unfamiliar with the task that they are being paid to do. So now the House will sit on that report. At least they could have discussed it and sent it back to be dealt with. But by tabling it or leaving it there, it means that the House could always say, well, they never discussed it or they never dealt with it. The Cabinet could say, well, the House never deal with it. And our Cabinet business we actually force it through. But if then duty and responsibility to guide it through, or to provide the information or provide the impetus to move the thing forward. They are the government. Cabinet has the power of governance in their hand. They are the executive representation of the country. But it serves them well to play that kind of shell game to kill the time, as the Prime Minister in his own words said. They should be doing the right thing as far as what the court says, but that time is running out now after they stalled for so long. You hear what Mr. De La Fuente said? They stalled for about 10 months already. Okay? Since the court accepted the decree. So they kill all the time up front, and at the end part of the time, now the Prime Minister come to the public and tell the public craziness, like what Mr. Morgan said in the last show that we had. The Prime Minister get up and say, well, it's something that's going to take a while to get done, and if he not think that they're going to be able to get it done before the next general election. That's what they have been working on, to stall and frustrate the process, so that when the election date come by, they could go ahead and use the old information anyhow without having updated it according to the requirements of the law. Regardless of what the court said, they don't got no respect for the court. They don't got no respect for the Constitution. They don't got no respect for the peace movement people, because, well, they're a little microcosm of, non-entity that come to the government. They are the mass parties. So they're going to have for them say and for them way, regardless of what anybody else say or what anybody else want. The bottom line is these guys are a bunch of scoundrels and jackals. Okay? They're not acting in good faith on behalf of the population. And when I tell them these things or speak to them in this kind of fashion, they turn around and say, will they offend them? Will they insult them? We're libeling them. I want to tell them what if we go push them libel, okay? As far as I'm concerned, these guys are just bamboozling us, collecting a salary, and not doing their job. Which is why I keep saying, I don't understand why Chester no do his job and go and haul some of them and arrest them, but for taking money under false pretext. Because they do that to the general population. When anybody embezzle any money or when anybody take funds or do whatever, they haul in a court quickly. In fact, before they get in a court, they go to their house and grab them and beat them down. When was the last time anybody here, any minister get beat down? They didn't get arrested. For the crimes that they commit, by the way, not alleged to have committed, crimes that they commit that they don't get prosecuted for, and as a result, they turn around and say, well, there was no case. They were not found guilty. But hell, the crime was committed. The damage was done. And then they will come and bamboozle people and pretend like they're innocent. Going back to the other point that Mr. De La Fuente brought up earlier in his delivery, in his explanation of what's going on behind the scene. The Election and Boundaries Department needs to do their job. They can make recommendations to the government, even if the government no ask them for any. Their purview is under the Governor General, and the Governor General is the one who gave the writ for the Election and Boundaries to have responded and did what they did so far, while claiming that they responded adequately and did everything that needed to be done, which is where the problem really lies. And they're sitting down now, having done a little bit of something, and pretending that, well, they don't need to do nothing else. Get the hell out of the way, vacate the offices and the premises and the thing there, and let new people go in there with new blood and new intention, good faith towards the people, and willingness to do their job the way it's supposed to be done. It's simple. But the ministers, them, and the government like it that way. So they don't try clean house or do what needs to be done. Because as far as I know, the commissioners, them, of the Election and Boundaries are all politicians in commissions close. They get appointed based on their political affiliations to that commission. And their purpose for being there is to be a watchdog on behalf of their own party operations. So the deck is all stacked, and they're hiding behind each other. But none of them know wear no clothes. That's why they hide behind each other. They help each other cover up for each other so that people don't see their nakedness or their naked aggression against the people and constitution of our country. But then they get paid. These people need to do their job. The general population cannot go into the Election and Boundaries Department and do their job for them, or the politicians them, or the mass parties them, can't go in that department and do what needs to be done. Like what they do when time for election and they want to get board paper for different people and get identification for different people and stuff, we put them on the voters list. They can't go in Election and Boundaries and do that kind of shenanigans there. But the Election and Boundaries have to step to the plate and do its job. that it was commissioned for. And like I said, it's not because they don't know what they're doing. They know exactly what they're doing. But the government and the politicians them that presently run the government are not interested in making any changes. As Mr. Morgan said, and Mr. De La Fuente said earlier today too, if Fort George or mess up, we have about 2,000 voters approximately, plus or minus, are getting the same subvention or constituency allowances as Belmopan and as Stan Creek West. It means that they are getting 5 times as much per individual than the other constituencies then. And that's what the Constitution says when it asks for nearly as equal a number. Because each individual, each voter should be considered as equal to each other in terms of their representation and their rights to cast a vote individually. So I'm tempted to go back to okay, I had something that I was going to read while Mr. De La Fuente was here with us. He's gone, but I'll still go ahead and read it because it's for public consumption. And I need to pull it up and read it. This is the Constitution of Belize, Cap 4. Section 89. I wanted to read 90, but I want to. I need to read 89 before I get to 90, just for context. Section 89 says, Section 89, subsection 1, because you have 2 subsections there, 1 and 2, but subsection 1 reads as follows. For the purposes of the election of members of the House of Representatives, Belize shall be divided into 31 electoral divisions. Now, mind you, that number of 31 is the latest upgrading of those numbers. It used to be 18, it used to be, different numbers before. Okay, it used to be 16, I think 17, and like that. But over the years, they have changed it. So they can go back and change it now. If we have too many representatives, we could reduce the number, which would cost government less money to manage the country, basically at that point. If they can't get it out of the cry that the division is so small and that they need for enlarging it, and they don't want to do the extra work for the extra amount of people who are putting out for the division, then you just have to have more divisions in the areas that were too big, such as Stan Creek West or Belmopan and others, right? That have 5 times what the other one they have. Bring up the small ones them up to a higher number, let's say from 2,000 to 4,000, and bring the one where there are 10,000 maybe down to 6,000, and you have one spread about 2,000 in between and enough space to grow. All those are mechanics of how to solve this process, and it doesn't take a rocket scientist to do it. I'll continue the reading. Belize shall be divided into 31 electoral divisions, the name and boundaries of which are set out in Schedule 1 to Representation of the People's Act, Cap 9. And now I'll read subsection 2 as well, just to finish it up now, because it's not too long. Subsection 2 reads, each electoral division shall be represented in the House of Representatives by 1 electoral member. And where the controversy comes in is now I'm going to go to Section 90 of the Constitution that deals with that controversy. It says under subsection 1, the Elections and Boundaries Commission shall, not may or could or will like to or if they want, shall It's a mandamus from the people. Just get about doing the people's business and stop clung on yourself. The Elections and Boundaries Commission shall, after considering the electoral distribution of the population throughout Belize, shall make proposals from time to time for dividing Belize into electoral divisions in such a way that, paragraph A, each electoral division shall have, as nearly as may be, an equal number of persons eligible to vote. That is to say, no one division should have 5 times as much as the other one. Otherwise, the one that have 5 times as much should get 5 times as much stipend or constituent funding. In other words, the funding should be divided up into the amount of individuals in the country, and then that amount of money is apportioned according to the numbers of people in your constituency. That's another way of resolving it. But still, they will not be meeting the threshold and the requirements of the Constitution that says shall. So elections and boundaries don't have no excuse to come up with the fact that they did a bogus job. Everybody's complaining that it's bogus. And unless it's done correctly, the matter is going to go back to court and they're going to revisit the matter again. And like we're talking to kids who can't hear or no understand or know how to do their job. So therefore, the elections and boundaries will have to be told by the court, get your job done. If you have to hire an expert, make the government provide you the funding to do it. If you don't know how to do the job. And if you don't know how to do the job, you shouldn't be there in the first place. Vacate the offices. Bring people that know how to do what needs to be done. Paragraph B of the same section 1 reads as follows. The total number of electoral divisions shall be not less than 28. 28 was the last number that they had before they add the other 3 divisions to where we now have currently 31. And they could go back and take out those 3 divisions like I told you earlier and make it 28, or take out more and make it a lower number. Or they can go and make a higher number than the 31 that we have currently. That is within the law. The law prescribes that those options are available in order for you to meet the threshold and meet the legal requirements of the Constitution and the rights of the people to be adequately represented. I'll go to subsection 2 of the section 90, which reads as follows. In fixing the boundaries of electoral divisions, the Commission shall, whenever you hear that word shall in our Constitution, it's a mandamus, it's a requirement, it's a mandate, it's something that they have to comply with. They don't have any option to try and finagle around the corners and try to come up with a different. No, they shall have regard to the transport and other facilities of the division and to its physical features. In other words, one of the way how the Commission was trying to get the thing done the last time is that they were trying to add a few people from out of Key to Fort George. Now that would require people from out of Key to travel in boats to come to Fort George to come and vote. Why couldn't they take a part of Pickstock and add it to Fort George, and a part of Freetown and add it to Fort George? And that would have solved that problem. And then take a part of, which is what they did the last time. They took a part of College Division and a part of, what was it, Independent Division, Lake Independence, and added into Pickstock to create the new Pickstock division, even across the river. All of you remember that? Because that's currently what it is. So even though the part that's across on the south side have no Pickstock association to it, it is still part of the Pickstock division. When they wanted to do their job properly, they went about getting it done properly. What's the hesitation right now? Same thing with Freetown division. It's a very small constituent. It's probably, I think it's probably about 4,000 if I'm not mistaken, somewhere in that vicinity. But 4,000 is still too small compared to 10,000. That's like 2.5 times. So that means that you still don't have a proper margin of adequate representation from the people for those area representatives. So take part of Caribbean Shores and put into Freetown. And then expand Caribbean Shores as they had done before when they cut up Freetown into two and created Caribbean Shores. Expand Caribbean Shores all the way up to the Halover Bridge. And if need be, taking part of the Belama area as well, which I think they currently have as well. Just expand that area to come up with the numbers. So then you're taking into consideration exactly what the Constitution says, the physical attributes of the division. So you don't have to get nobody away from out of Kikaka or Ambergiski to tie them into Fort George. As a matter of fact, Ambergiski have, I think, about 10,000 themselves, 9,000 plus. Okay? So they're supposed to have more than one representative out there. So all these things, these guys are not being attentive to, and they're not doing their job. But they could facilitate Portico, they could do all kind of shenanigans for the hustle money on the side. Instead of doing what they are being paid to do. Okay. I had lost the thing just now because it disappeared and I had to go and retrieve it. I'll read a part of, okay, I think I finished, I finished that part. I'll just read a little part of section 90, subsection 3. And it says as follows. The proposals of the Commission made pursuant to this section shall, again it mandates, right? It's a mandamus from the people, from the plebiscite, shall be laid before the National Assembly by the chairperson of the Commission, who is actually responsible directly to the Governor General, okay? It is the Governor General that has purview over our election and boundaries department and control of the election. In other words, the politicians, they shouldn't have nothing to do with putting their finger into that pot. But they do, because some of their commission members are recommended by them to look after their own interests. That's again how the shell game gets played. And the electoral divisions specified in those proposals should be the electoral divisions of Belize for the purpose of any law for the time being in force relating to the election of members of the House of Representatives. So now it's under this particular section here, and I'm going to read it again for clarity. It's under this section here that they're trying to hide themselves while they are violating the section that says do a proper redivisioning and a proper reapportionment. And because that's not going to be completed on time, according to the Prime Minister, I can bet anyone a penny. I'm not a bettor, so I'm bet you a penny. Because if I lose it, then, but I'm just kidding. But the Prime Minister can come and tell us that he can't give us proper governance. He can't give us proper redivisioning. He can't give us proper reapportionment. Because his intention and the intention of his cabinet and his majority and super majority in Congress wouldn't want to change anything that would cause them to lose any of their members. So therefore, he's going to stall and, pontificate and everything else he's going to do just in order to go back and use the election and boundaries information as it previously was. Because the time going to run out, they won't be able to do a new one. And at the end of the day, according to him, when the election date come, which has to come somewhere between now and November of next year, they will go ahead and call the election based on the existing information as per this section here, which allows them to hide themselves under, a bunch of scoundrels. But it also allows them to hide themselves under, but it points out their level of deviousness and maladministrators. Okay? Sorry. I'll read the rest so you could get the well. I said I should have read it over because I was reading it with a lot of conjointings, and I think I should read it a little bit more efficiently for clarity and contextualization, because it's very important. These are critical things that people are not aware of, but at least some people, and I would venture to say the majority of the people, because the majority of the people, as per one estimate the last time, 98% of the people of Belize don't read their constitution, don't know what's in their constitution, but yet these jackals are trying to get them to vote on what is it that they need to take out of the constitution and or what is it that should be put in the constitution. Another sleight of hand, bamboozling people. Subsection 3 reads as follows. The proposals of the Commission made pursuant to this section shall be laid before the National Assembly by the chairperson of the Commission, which was done, and the electoral divisions specified in those proposals. Now remember, they complied with the first statement, but they haven't complied with the second part. Because they laid the stuff to the Assembly, but it hasn't been discussed and voted on, accepted or rejected, or demand for modification. It's just sitting there. And the electoral divisions specified in those proposals shall be the electoral divisions of Belize for the purpose of any law for the time being in force relating to the elections of members to the House of Representatives, when and shall not be such electoral divisions until enacted as law by the National Assembly. So under this particular section here, like I said, then they hide themselves. Then they run out the time, they hide the ball, and when the time run out, they want to turn around and say, okay, well, time to call the election. We can't stay in office any longer, we have to call the election. So when they call the election on, not anything new that was supposed to have been done, because that's not done or completed, and the House haven't voted on it. They don't have to call it on the basis of the old information. So these scoundrels know exactly what they're up to and what they're trying to get done. But the Belizean people, apparently, a lot of them, I wouldn't say all of them, are indifferent. And some of them could care less. It doesn't bother them. It not stop them from getting their next meal. They have to go to the hospital to try to get the next meal. They don't got time for to be bothered with these kind of stuff. These are the matters that lawyers have to be paid for to go and trash out in court on behalf of who pay them. And who they pay the lawyers right now if they go deal with these matters. We, the Belizean people, they pay for we Attorney General and for we all the top lawyers them that we have on staff or on retainer. We pay them out of we tax. And then yet we have to go find extra money as private individuals to fight against the very same government, the packet, to try to get them to do the right thing. That's why, like I said, just now when Mr. De La Fuente was talking, I was clapping. I was happy. I'm commending the gentleman and his group for the effort that they're expending. It's not easy. It's not cheap. And Mr. Morgan, when he was here last Wednesday, was stipulating the very same information. I'll go and read a part of section 4, which is the last part, by the way, of this particular section. Subsection 4. Revision of electoral divisions. So that's 91. I'm not going to go there. I don't know if I'll have time tonight. I'll go ahead and read subsection 4 of section 91. When the Elections and Boundaries Commission considers it necessary to increase the numbers of electoral divisions as specified in subsection 1 above, which I just read, of this section, section 90, it shall make proposals to the National Assembly, which they did. But like I said, it fell short. And even the members of the National Assembly are complaining and saying it couldn't fly. And some of the legal minds are saying it wouldn't stand up in court for too long. Well, do it the right way and make it stand up in court. Because it has to be done and needs to be done before the next general election, so that we stop this illegal travesty of having unconstitutional elections. We are, for all intents and purposes, from a legal perspective, the current elected members of the House are constitutionally a bar. They are elected on a false pretext and false premise. They weren't elected under legal or constitutional criteria. And they know that. But who going to stop them? Who has stopped them so far over the last 8 elections? They just carry on and do their own thing. And they won't carry on and do their own thing again with another bogus election coming up. Because as I'm saying to you right now and stipulating to you right now, in this conversation or presentation, that the work is being sabotaged to the point that it won't be completed because they want to go back and run the election on the same old data. They're comfortable in their division where they are right now. They don't want it to be altered, to be made smaller, or to be made larger. They just like it like it is right now. And the present government have what you call a super majority in the House. Okay? Bunch of scoundrels. Let me finish up this little portion here, please. It shall make proposal to the National Assembly, that is the Elections and Boundaries Commission, and the National Assembly may enact, which is they're hiding again, because they may. They're not ordered, shall, or mandated to do it. So then they pull their foot, drag their foot, and then play a game, right? Because they may. It is left to them to do their job. And if they don't want to do their job, who won't force them to do it when they are a separate part of government? They are a separate branch of government with their own authority unto themselves. You think the court could force them? The court could make a ruling telling them to do it, and then could just dispense with whatever ruling the court make, as they have always been doing, which is why they keep losing all those cases over and over and over and over. Because they're a bunch of scofflaws. They have no regards for the laws, and they try to bamboozle their way through the process, and when the matter ends up in court, then get brushed aside and being told to go back and redo their stuff and try to come back again. Like the people who say, wheel and come again. But they don't wheel and come again. They wheel and they stay away and then continue doing their rascalness. Let me finish with this stuff here. It's almost finished. Just bear with me. I have another couple of minutes, so I just want to finish off this particular before I close out. And the National Assembly may enact a law to give effect to such proposals, with such amendments and modifications as may seem appropriate to the National Assembly. So it falls within their purview to do their job, and they're stalling and refusing to do their job. But all of them, they collect their stipends for their constituents, all of them, they collect their salary, and all the extra benefits that they get. Some of them go in a politics and go in the house and become members of cabinet when they get selected. They go in there, they don't even go on a bicycle for a ride. But by the time they get the appointment, they got the fanciest of cars and vehicles available at public expense. And by the time they finish their first term, some of them are millionaires. By the time some of them finish 2 terms, some of them are multi-millionaires. And the people continue into the poverty index at 68%. While these jackals and hyenas and vampires and drunkards and whatever else that you want to call them, like bats, they suck with blood dry. And some of you people, they sit down there, they pretend like, well, and so what? We like it like that. Like one of my family wrote back to me the other day and said, then people like the what are the phrases they use? Can't even remember the man's phrase they use, but our common phrase we use back home, right? But there's something like if you say, well, okay, then like the lashing when they get, right? They know that they get mistreated, they know that they get the bukut, but who don't like bukut? Who Belizean don't like bukut? I won't read the rest of that because we're running out of time, and I don't want to abuse the patience. I've not had anybody else for the rest of the program to interact. Therefore, I'm the only one monopolizing, talking, and as a result, it's becoming a monotonous process. But the intent of, or the objective of going through this process is to familiarize our Belizeans at home and abroad with what is it that the Constitution says as regards to we the people having an expectation from the government and we institutions them that should practice policies of state that accrue or inure to the well-being and benefit of our people and country. And unfortunately, for all the years that we have been independent, we have not been successful enough to get the people that we vote for to do what they know is right on our behalf. Earlier, someone had said that we get the government that we deserve. But I beg to differ. Even the lowliest person on Fuente Street in Belize, the hobo people, and probably if they could entertain a conversation with you, will tell you that they wish they would have had one better government, or a government would be looking after the interests and well-being of the country and its people, so that they could maybe end up having a lead job instead of end up so many years on the street and then not have the level of competency to be able to get one job and earn their own keeps. Because some people think that because others are out there going through dire straits, it's because some of those people wish for it to be like that, or they want it to be like that. We all have a level of common decency, and we all wish to be able to be successful in life and wish to be able to have things provided for us, either by our own sweat of the brow or someone who has compassion on us. But at the end of the day, we should be afforded the opportunity to earn our own living, first and foremost. And if not, at least if we're derelict in terms of not having the skills or the ability to be able to provide for ourselves, as the Constitution said, we should have a social conscience. And what belongs to the country, as the wealth of the country, should be stretched out in such a way that everybody, born Belizeans, living at home or abroad, should have the opportunity to be able to have some of the assets of the country accrue to us for our own well-being, health, and the well-being and health of the country. Because we, the people, make up the country. And the way we treat the least among us says a lot about what we're all about or what our country is all about. Nevertheless, I'll cease my ranting for right now on this particular subject. And I'd just like to say thank you, Belizeans at home and abroad, for your time and patience in listening to what I had to say, what Mr. De La Fuente had to say as well in tonight's meeting, presentation. And I hope that somehow or another, you're a little better off for having spared your time to listen to our program in terms of your recognition of what some of the realities or the facts are, some of the issues that are going on behind the scene, and or what our constitution says about some of these things. Because these guys are intending to change our constitution one way or another, especially now that they have a super majority in the House. And at the end of the day, it's only after those changes are done and you are suffering the consequences, then you will realize what the agenda was, and it will be probably too late. Thank you very much, Belize and Belizeans at home and abroad, for having tuned in tonight. God bless Belize and its people and its leadership. Thank you. Good night.